So if we want to find the right support for us, if we want to find the right coach for us, whether it's a business coach or a life coach or a health coach or whatever it is, how are we supposed to find the right person? So today I want to talk about a couple of things that you should be looking out for when you are looking to find the right coach for you. And many times people just look at the most popular, but we have to understand that sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean that they're good. And unfortunately, there are a lot of great life coaches out there who are just terrible at business. So they actually don't have a lot of clients. They don't have a lot of things going on for them. And then the opposite is true, though. Also, there are a lot of good people who are good at business, but not necessarily great at coaching. So the question is, how is it that we're supposed to be finding these people? And one of the cool things that one of the angles that I would say I have is I have a bit of behind the scenes look, because on the one hand, I am myself a coach. Number two, I've hired my own coaches. And number three is I actually work with coaches. I actually train coaches, and I really help them grow their businesses and really help them scale to see what it is that they can actually do. So I actually see different types of coaches on different sides of the table. And I wanted to share with you a bunch of ideas that I've learned myself, and really looking to see what it is that you can start to do in order to find the right support for you. And I am very bullish on coaching because I personally believe that coaching is life changing. It could honestly change somebody's life so much that they could be in such a better direction with the things that they want to be doing. And if we can start to recognize that by having all these different people and all these supports around us, we'll be able to become the best version of ourselves. And a lot of times people get caught up with just the pricing of it. Something, coaching is more than therapy lots of times, so like, why is that? But if you're looking at it as in terms of getting the results that you're looking to get, like, is it not worth it? And even if it's not a monetary result, let's say it's like just a feeling inside, I just want to feel like amazing, or like I have clarity or direction in my life. Is that not worth lots and lots of money? So we need to understand that when we are looking for the support, we should be understanding that there is a lot to be going on in this question, and we want to be able to find the right people, because at the end of the day, you look at any athlete who is successful, they have so many different people around them that are helping supporting them. It is their trainers, it is just their mindset coaches, their psychologists. They're having like all these different people around them who are just helping them focus and looking forward in terms of what is they need to be doing every single day to take the actions to become accountable. And it's interesting because most coaching styles, I would say, are very similar. And I think the nuances and the differences, which we're going to talk about today, really come in with the person and the style of their coaching and how well they can do certain things. So we have to, first of all, recognize that there are certain things that there are good coaches out there and there are bad coaches out there. But just like that, there are good salespeople and there are bad salespeople. There are good doctors and bad doctors. Like, there's people who are good and bad at everything out there. So we have to try to find out how is it, or who is it really, that we can start to look with and trust with in order to really start to really work with certain people. And at the end, I'm going to actually give you guys a tip. If you haven't found the right coach, what's like one thing you could continue to do? Because I really think it's important to be able to get that support to really be able to move forward. So the first thing overall that you need to be working and looking for is whether you actually like vibe with them. And I think it sounds simple, but we have to understand that there are a lot of coaches out there who are more aggressive, who take a more aggressive approach a lot, or take a more backseat approach. You drive, I'm just going to help you out. And you really have to find the person that really connects to you. And I think nowadays, especially with social media, there's so many people out there that you can just watch their stuff, look at their posts, look at the things that they're doing online, and then you'll be able to see what's going on. And, being on the coaching side of things, I definitely, have gotten pushed by lots of people to be on social media, to be pushing myself in order to get myself out there, because we can hope that things are going to come. And I think that people can build a successful coaching practice without social media, but it's just going to take a lot longer, just practically. Like, just let's be realistic. A lot more people on social media, you get yourself out there more, you're going to be able to, get those clients. So the same thing with like the opposite. If you're looking for a coach, try to find somebody who you can start to follow. Maybe you don't want to hire them right away, but you want to start watching them. You want to start listening to their ideas. You want to start to say, hey, you know what? I really relate to this person. Or, you know what? That guy's just not my style. That just doesn't work for me. And it's something that we need to look into, because many times people will just go and they'll hire somebody and they're like, okay, after the second week, you're like, this isn't really working. And honestly, a good coach would actually fire somebody. You see, most clients think when they come to coaches that, the client is in control because the client is paying the money, right? That's the transaction. But in coaching, we actually value our time very much. And when we come into a situation, or there may be certain coaches that come into a situation, the coach actually has or was willing to actually fire a client, even if they're willing to pay them the money, because it's not necessarily about taking the money. And yes, I'm sure there are coaches out there who just want to take the money, and that's totally fine. But there are actually a lot of coaches out there who want to be doing the good work. They want to be spending their time working with people who they can actually help. And if that means firing somebody, then you know what? Then that's what it means. And honestly, I fired people before. I fired clients saying, you know what, you're not doing the work, like you're not into it for X, Y, and Z reasons. You're not giving it the time, and I don't want to be taking your money. So, have a great one. And it's not like, it's not like when you come into like a boss's office, you're fired, you're fired, get out of here. But, there is this line of saying, hey, you know what, if a coach is willing to fire me, I like that. Why? Because it shows that he's not just in it for the money. Yes, they're in business. We're in it to make money. But at the same time, it's like we have the ability to help people, and we want to be helping people, and we want to see that we can actually help. And if somebody's not taking advantage of it, and if you're saying, oh, well, maybe I won't hire a coach in general because, I know I don't take action. That's just who I am. The coach's job is to help you take the action. They're going to help work through the shifts and the mindsets that we can actually work on. So it's not necessarily about taking action versus not taking action. It's more the commitment, I would say, to the process. And maybe people are just not ready for it. They thought, they got inspired because they watched the video, and then all of a sudden they want to get a coach, but that's not necessarily. But I would say definitely reach out. Also recognize that most coaches offer like a free session or a free consultation of some sort. So whether it's like a 20-minute or an hour session, even, you can actually sit down with a coach and like speak to them and get coached, which is like really awesome. Because if you have that ability to get coached already, then you already can get a sense about what's going to go on, how it's going to go, if you even really work with the person. So if we can start to work on that and really start to say, hey, you know what, I really enjoy this person. I really get them. I really get their vision and thing, the way they move forward. Then I really think that, they might be somebody I would be willing to work with. The second way to really find a good coach is to get referrals. Speak to other people. Who have you used? And if you speak to other people and other people have used somebody who they were, both worked and didn't work, that is great information. And then you can reach out to that. So if you reach out to 10 people who's had a coach, and then you speak to them and say, hey, who are the coaches that you've had? Were they good? Were they not good? What would you recommend? What's going on with that? Then you'll be able to really start to work that out and really start to find out who it is that you can be working with. And, you can get referrals from, friends, you can family, whatever. You can go post it online. I saw somebody one time, like just posted online, say, and on LinkedIn. So he was like, anybody have any referrals for a business coach? And then, people are started referring people, and then you can start getting and collecting information, which I think is something that could be really cool. And I really think it could help people find that coach better, and then you can also trust it a little bit more. And I think that's something that is really cool. I think honestly, social media is more sort of like referrals, because if you're following somebody's podcast, that's honestly how I found my first coach. I was listening to this real estate podcast, and the guy kept talking about his coach. I'm like, you know what? After like 6 months, I'm like, I gotta like just reach out to find out more about this, and then I did it, but it was only because I was listening to the podcast that this guy was talking about it, and I don't even know this guy personally. So it was more just a referral for me that I'm saying, hey, you know what? I trust him, so I trust you to help me get the same or similar results. And I think if we can start to do that, then I think we can start to really see what it is that needs to get done and really start to move forward. So if you can try to find a referral source, I think that is a great tip as well. The third thing is that the whole, I guess, I would say, philosophy of coaching, and I think this goes for any type of coaching, is looking to get the support from somebody else, a third party, in order to help you do more in what it is that you want to be doing. So whether it's your sales, whether it's your health, whether it's your mindset or your just life or direction and whatnot. And I think so many times people will go to a coach and they would get coached by them. And I think a cool question that you ask the coach is, do you have a coach? Are you part of a community of coaches who are also striving to become better? Because if you believe in the philosophy of coaching, that it's going to only help you improve the skills that you're looking to do, then you yourself, the coach, should have a coach. And there's times I've had like 3 one-on-one coaches. I've been part of 2 groups, and I'm always looking to get better. And I really believe in the coaching model. And, people are paying me, and I'm paying coaches, and I'm paying lots of money to coaches, more than people are paying me. But I understand that, if I can be supported by those people who can help me take my life to the next level, take my business to the next level, then I really think that is somebody who really believes in the idea of coaching. It's not necessarily somebody who's just doing it for the money or doing it because, they just fell into it or whatnot. So if you find somebody or you're speaking to somebody, find that if they have a coach. If they have a coach, then I really think that's something that says a lot about them in terms of their whole philosophy in regards to coaching itself. So recognizing that I think could be really important as well. The other thing is like, we have to find somebody who's constantly looking to grow. I remember when I first started dating, I was dating a girl and she was in medical school. And one of the things that scared me, I would say, was that she said that she was going to have to be studying every single year to take like these tests to keep up her her license. And I said, for how long? She's like, well, until I want to continue practicing. And that honestly scared the heck out of me. Not for my sake, for her sake. I'm like, you're going to have to study every single year. Like, I don't do tests. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you supposed to be studying? How are you supposed to be doing all these things? And it's something that really scared me personally. And what ended up happening is that I had a shift because I remembered that, you know what? If she is willing to commit to something, a study or whatever you want to call your thing, whether it's a hobby or your business or your job, and she's willing to constantly learn and to get better at it, she's going to be the best freaking doctor. And if you can have a coach who's constantly looking to work on themselves, to look to learn new skills, learn new ideas, who's looking to constantly grow within their coaching, then they themselves are going to only be getting better. There's one coach I had who I hired for business. And in the beginning, like when I first started working with him, I was still working with him. And then from where we are now, like even over a year later, things have shifted and things have transformed. And I see the whole change in terms of just the whole process of the sales or his sales process. And it was something that was so amazing to see. And I'm like, wait, what about that other thing? And it's like, well, that really translates into this. And he's constantly spending money on these coaches and these programs that he wants to be learning to get better in order to teach it more to other people. And if we can start to understand that and say, hey, you know what? Are these coaches looking to learn more about all these different ideas that they're teaching and they're practicing? So if so, then let me get attached to that, because it's not just the things that he's already learned, but it's the constant information that they're trying to attain in order to help their clients and themselves and their clients do more and more and more. And I think that is something that's really important that a lot of people don't think about, because if you have like one coach who's just like, yep, I went through my one training, I got my certificate, whether that's actually necessary or not, it's a different question. But the person got whatever that they got, and all of a sudden, like, they're done. I don't know if that really works, because things are constantly changing. There's constantly new studies that are done, new approaches, new ways to be doing some stuff. If you can look to really step into the parts that we can, then we can actually look to move forward in the terms of what it is that we want to be doing. And this brings me to the final point of what happens if you've actually hired a coach and it just didn't work. Maybe you worked with them for 2 weeks, maybe you worked with them for 3 months, and you didn't get to see the results that you're looking to get. So I would say keep looking. You see, so many times people get burnt once and then they just give up. They say, nope, this is not true. This isn't a thing. And I'll tell you, when I hired my first coach, I hired him for probably like 8 weeks or so, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working at the end. I thought he was more of like therapist-y, and he was more just like a friend, than hearing me out. And I realized, you know what? Like, that's not what I need. I need someone who's going to help push me, someone who's going to help challenge me, someone to help me get so much clarity that I know what I'm doing every single day. I'm getting such focus, and I'm putting in the reps, and they're making sure that I'm doing that. And when I realized that, I didn't just give up after my first coach. I looked for another one. And I think it's important to say, you know what? If I really get that support, if I want to get that help with somebody else, let me look and find that person, because that person is out there, and I'm going to keep searching. And it might be, you know what, you don't find them in the beginning, but once you do find them, you're going to see exponentially how much further you're going to grow, how much further you're going to move forward in life. And it gets so tremendous. And, just another thing that people always get, tripped up on is, the investment aspect, right? Okay, but coaching is so ridiculous. There are coaches that are charging $10,000 a month. There are coaches who, now I know a couple of coaches who charge like $1 million a year. And if you think about that sounds ridiculous. And, on the one hand, you could say, okay, so that's not your coach, trying to find somebody who you can't afford. But on the other hand, if that guy who's going to be charging $10,000 a year can make you $100,000 a year or a month, whatever it is that not worth it? If they can get you there a lot quicker. So instead of spending, 12 months to do something, they could get it to you in 3 months. Is saving 9 months of your life like not worth the money? And we have to recognize that whenever we have money, we're always trading it for something else. Like, that's what we do with money, and people just want to hoard it. And if we can trade it for something that's going to help us build a skill or help us get some clarity in terms of what it is we need to be moving forward, then we'll be able to get there a lot quicker. And the hardest thing I see is like when people like will reach out to me and say, Bennett, I just can't afford it. I'm like, okay, fine. Like you can't afford it. But on the other hand, it's like, well, how resourceful are you going to be? Because a lot of times people aren't successful because they're not being so resourceful. They think that the resources, the money that they have is the issue when it's the resourcefulness. And I remember there was one gentleman I was speaking to, and I literally was telling him like, you need the coaching. Like it's going to be helpful. And he was into it and he really wanted it. I just don't know where to find the money. And we worked on it. Like, how can we find the money? And he ended up calling like a family member, called him up and asked if they could sponsor him. Because he'll make the money later on. He just doesn't have it now. And he ended up getting the support and the help that he really needed. So recognize that if we don't have the money, we need to not just look at the resources, but we need to just look to see how we can be resourceful in the things that we want to be doing and really find the money. Because if it's important to you, if you believe it, if you really trust this coach that they can get you the results, would you not do anything in the world to do that? And I think it's something that's important and really, really, really key in order to find the people that you're looking to find. That being said, if anybody needs help with any referrals, like I said earlier, I work and I train coaches. I could definitely refer you to anybody. If anybody's looking to work with me, we could definitely have a conversation. We could have that free call. But if anybody's any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm really passionate about coaching because I know for me personally, not even professionally, personally, it changed my life. And then even professionally, it's been something that's been so meaningful and such a cool way to just make an impact with people and really help them just achieve the things that they want to achieve that they know is attainable, but they maybe not have reached it yet.